Welcome back. It is exactly 47 minutes past 7 on this beautiful Friday evening. Did you guys see the moon? Well, a beautiful sight indeed. Even more beautiful sight, the Springboks are back and Bok Rugby is back in Johannesburg. The Springboks take on New Zealand tomorrow afternoon in the second rugby championship match that will be taking place at Emirates Airline Park, with the Springboks annihilating the All Blacks in the opening game that took place last week in Mbombela, winning that game 26-10. A world record score indeed, or first for South Africa. The biggest win since 1928. Well, before that, we've got the women box that are also in town. They're going to be taking on Spain as they fine-tune the preparations for the Rugby World Cup that will be taking place later on this year in New Zealand. They'll be taking on Spain in two test matches, with the first one coming up tomorrow as a curtain raiser to the main game when the Springboks take on the All Blacks. So make sure you get down to the stadium early. Gates open at 12:30. There is entertainment. It will be a jam-packed day, full of festivities. And what better way to support your team? Women's Month. Let's get out there, support the Women Box when they take on Spain at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at Emirates Airline Park. But to tell us more about that and how we see this match unfolding, we're going to be joined by analyst and rugby player herself, Leila Arison. That's going to be giving us a bit of a breakdown on everything that we can expect from the Women Box tomorrow at Emirates Airline Park, and how exactly she sees this one unfolding, with the Springboks taking on a team that's ranked higher than them in the world rankings. Good evening, Leila. Thanks for joining me on the show this evening. It's a pleasure having you, man.
As it's a key, so good to be in. Thanks for having me.
Leila, Spain, an interesting test match that will be taking place tomorrow at Emirates Airline Park. Kickoff being at 1 o'clock. How do you see this one unfolding after South Africa had such a successful tour of Japan, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, Spain and Japan, we see kind of play the same style of rugby, and they definitely don't like the physical contact. So I've chatted to some of the girls, I've heard what they have to say, and I think if we meet them up front and we pretty much just dominate them in the collisions, dominate them up front, force them to take it wide, and then close those outside channels, I think we stand a really good chance. We see that the ladies are now starting to gel. They've been together for a really long time. The squad's pretty much stayed unchanged since the end of 2020. So yeah, I think they're starting to catch their stride now, and they're going to be taking a lot of confidence from that Japan game into this test.
Leila, I'm sorry for jumping straight into the test match, but tell me, how monumental was that team picture that was taken today alongside the Springboks and the women's team?
Oh,
Come on. What does that
come
mean
on.
to you that's
Yeah.
been in women's rugby for the longest time?
No, listen, I think I saw the coolest thing. I think the dietitian said that the Springbok men had such a privilege to take a photo with the women today. And I think that's so cool, is that the men definitely had a privilege to take a pic with the women today. But it's such an iconic picture. I think it's definitely one of those pictures that's going to go around and stay around for so long. And I think it's so important to even for the younger generation now as well, if they see that the men are involved, they see that the men want to collaborate and interact with the women. We know that only big things are going to happen for the women's game year on out. And listen, I think today was such an iconic just stepping stone towards that.
Definitely, Women's Month, so many monumental things happening. And, we spoke about that iconic photo. Another iconic moment this week, FNB securing the sponsorship of the women's team. Leila, I mean, having that jersey blank for the longest time in front, and now eventually coming along with a massive jersey sponsor. How will this
No,
help grow in rugby?
yes, no, look, I think I was there at the launch, and you could just see like everyone was just beaming with pride, and it means so much for the women, because it just shows that the hard work and the time and effort that they've now put into their prep and everything that they've been doing to get to this point means something. And to have such huge flagship sponsor like FNB, who at some point was a flagship sponsor for the men, like it just shows that they too believe in this like women's sport and the direction that women's sport are going into, that like everyone that's banking at FNB now, like you have to, you just know, and it just it's added pressure for them as well. But I think it's such good pressure, and it's like that moment of finally someone believes in us. Finally, we're getting that kind of backing, and that pushes them to want to now be better.
No, definitely. Quick prediction on the game that's going to be taking place tomorrow. Final score prediction.
Final score prediction. I think it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go like 17, 18, 13.
17, 18, 13. That's not that's miles apart, Leila. Come on, let's be realistic here. And then the big one later on the afternoon, the Springboks take on the All Blacks at Emirates Airline Park. Kickoff for that one is at 5 p.m. Leila, this is a massive clash. I mean, 95 was a monumental occasion. They beat us at the World Cup in Japan. We came back, we beat them again, and then we went on and lifted the World Cup. And now we've got last week a record score against them. What can we expect from the Springbok team tomorrow?
No, look, I think they're pretty much just going to be sticking to what they know. I don't think we're going to see anything more than what happened last week. I say this, and I don't say this lightly. Like, you can never ever count out an All Blacks team. They are going to come in, and they're going to come in hard. We can't just walk in there kind of, with these egos and cockiness and that, we're just going to put another record score on them again. Like that's definitely not going to happen. I'm wary of an All Blacks team that's got their necks against the wall. So yeah, last week I had to call it, and I said it was going to be tight. I think I called it by 5, and then they went and they proved me so wrong, and they just like cluffed them. I'm still gonna say it's gonna be tight. Like I think again it's gonna be like a 5 or a 7 point game. Same like the ladies. I'm scared. I'm scared, but I've got faith, and they're like my children. You let them out into the world, and you say go and do what you need to do. But I'm definitely wary of this All Black team, and I think they know how much pressure's on them now, and they're gonna come out, and I think that they're gonna give us a show.
Well, Super Rugby star Richie Mo'unga has been called up to the starting lineup for this one. He's been phenomenal in the red jersey for the Crusaders, and we've seen what he can do in the All Blacks jersey as well. Do you think the alarm bells have started ringing in the All Black cap? Bowden Barrett to the bench, Richie Mo'unga being called up. Do you think their backs are against the wall? It's do or die now for them?
Definitely. Like if you take BB off and you bring Richie in, it's almost like a do or die for them. Richie brings a completely different style of play. He plays a lot flatter than Bowden does, so he's definitely involved there, and he gets that ball rolling and going really quickly. He plays quick hands, So I think he's going to offer something different at pivot. He's definitely gonna test the All Blacks if he gets his kicks right and he puts us under pressure as well. Like we put them under pressure under the high ball. If he gets that right, and then plays those flat balls and that quick running rugby that we know that the All Blacks can play. I think we are in for a test match. Like I know that the Boks are definitely have not settled. They've not thought about like settling down off the win last week. So I know that they've also put in all that prep and time and effort. But I think Richie definitely at pivot brings a completely different game to Bowden. But hey, I'm so excited for what he can also bring in. And then, we make it a game. I don't like watching rugby lying down. Last week I watched that last couple of minutes of our game, lying down on my couch, and I was too relaxed. I like a game that's tense and energizes me a bit. So it's gonna be tight. I'm hoping for a tight one, but I definitely know that we're gonna take the win.
No, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds. And any specific players you think that the viewers and the listeners out there should be looking out for tomorrow? Out of both games. I mean, there's 2 games taking place tomorrow. Both Springbok teams are taking the field. Let's start from the first game. I mean, many of these players are unknown to the public, with women's sport not being broadcasted and featured as much as men's sport. But now they're coming to the fore, and this is where South Africans get to learn about the players. I mean, any players that we should look out for, specifically numbers and positions tomorrow?
I now have to remember that team list. Look, Sizopila Solonsi, I think she's moved to the flank position for tomorrow. She's brutal up front. I mean, I've played against her. Like, she's brutal, brutal, brutal. She absolutely destroyed. She was one of the Japanese like thorns in their side. I says I got a good run on her as well. You've got Libby Hans van Rensburg there at pivot. She if she spreads that ball wide, it's great, and she loves to run as well. And then you've got Roos on at fullback. We saw that brilliant cut line that she ran in that final test against Japan. So look, every single one of these ladies bring like their own little special something. Ayanda Malinga and Simanamba are both on the wings. They know how to finish. Simanamba, for her size, is so strong. She knows how to get over that line. Makes it defensively. And then, I mean, you're sitting with someone like Unam Tose, who's getting her first start since 2019. At 9, she plays a very quick game. Then you've got Rumandi Potgieter, who's going to come in, and she's going to almost like settle them down, play a really good game, read the game well, structured game. That completely throws the game around again, and then the Spanish have to adjust to that. You've got Lusanda Dunke, who can also come in off the bench, and she can also, just like Sizopila Solonsi, menace those Spanish girls tomorrow. So a couple names. I gave you a couple. I mean, I almost said the whole team. But,
the listeners and the viewers out there, though, make sure that you jot that down, and when you're watching the game tomorrow, you put a face to the name, because those are names you don't want to forget, especially with the World Cup coming up later. There's nothing worse than being not part of the conversation around the braai because you couldn't remember the names of certain players. So make sure you memorize the names of those players, and they soon will be the topic of conversation around the braai. Leila Addison, thank you so much for your time this evening. It was a pleasure. We did run out of time. It's a few seconds to 8 o'clock, and that means the end of the show. It's the end of my round for this week. But to all the listeners and viewers, I hope you get down to Ellis Park early tomorrow. Kickoff for the women's game is at 1 o'clock, with the men's game kicking off at 5. There will be entertainment in between the two games, so make sure you get down to the stadium early. And yes, make sure you've got your tickets in hand, because it's a sold out game. It's a sold out match. And if you have any to spare, pop me a message, pop Leila a message. I'm definitely sure that one of us could make use of the tickets more. But thanks so much, Leila, for joining me on the show this evening. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to chatting to you real soon. All things rugby.
Awesome, Thaaks. See you soon.
No, definitely. That was Leila Addison giving us a bit of a breakdown on what we can expect in tomorrow's rugby. To all the listeners and viewers at home, it is 8 o'clock on the dot. I'd like to thank you for your time this evening. It's been a real pleasure chatting all things sport, all things medalists at the Commonwealth Games. We chatted about Springboks, and then we just chatted to Nkosanathi Ntuli, who's embarking on a journey to Morocco, where he will be looking to bring back gold for South Africa at the African Powerlifting Championships later on this year, actually September. And he's got a couple of fundraising initiatives that he has in mind. So let's see how we can assist him in achieving his goal. But that's it from myself, Thaakir Dawood, and the team for this evening. It's been a great week. It's going to be an even better weekend, a jam-packed weekend of sport. We're looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Until then, remember to communicate with us. Get hold of us on the socials. Tell us exactly your thoughts on the weekend and what exactly is going down in the world of sports. And tell us exactly how your favorite team is making you feel over this weekend. From myself and the team, Assalamu alaikum. Until next week, we're chatting all things rugby.